Good afternoon and welcome to Foreign Desk on Benue Television. I am Winifred Yusu. On the headlines, Ukraine's president says his forces have taken full control of strategic Russian town. European Center for Disease Prevention and Control advises travelers to get vaccinated against mpox. Plus, Indian doctors call for nationwide shutdown of hospital services. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said his country's forces have taken full control of the strategic Russian town of Sudha in the Kursk region in their incursion into Russian territory. Zelensky also said that the military commander's office is being set up in the town, which had a pre-war population of around 5,000 people. Sudha holds a measuring station for Russian natural gas that flows through Ukrainian pipelines to Europe. Russia did not immediately respond to Zelensky's statement, but its defense ministry earlier said that Russian forces had blocked attempts to take several other communities. Kursk acting governor Alexei Smirnov ordered the evacuation of the Gloskovo region, about 45 kilometers northwest of Sudha, as Ukraine's incursion entered its second week. The evacuation order suggests Ukrainian forces are gradually advancing towards the area. Russia also declared a federal-level state of emergency in the Belgorod region. A regional-level state of emergency had been declared a day earlier in Belgorod, and the changes in status suggest officials believe the situation is worsening and hampering the region's ability to deliver aid. Ukraine's General Oleksandr Sykal declared that Ukrainian forces have taken 1,000 square meters of the Kursk region, kilometers of the reacting. United States White House spokesperson John Kirby told newsmen that he cannot speak on Ukraine's objectives, adding that Russian President Vladimir Putin appears to have some level of concern about the Ukrainian offensive in the Kursk region. Sweden has confirmed the first case of mpox clade 1, a viral infection that spreads through close contact and is a more dangerous variant of the mpox disease. The Swedish government made the announcement marking the first case of the variant outside of Africa, saying more cases are expected in the region in the coming days. Recall that the World Health Organization on Wednesday declared mpox a global public health emergency for the second time in 2 years, following an outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo that has spread to other countries. Swedish state epidemiologist Magnus Gisslin said in a statement that the person became infected during a trip to the part of Africa where there is a major outbreak of mpox clade 1, and that they have received care after seeking medical assistance in Stockholm. According to World Health Organization, 548 people have been killed by mpox in the DRC this year. The Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention also declared mpox a public health emergency on the continent. Meanwhile, the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control (EDC) has advised travelers to consider getting vaccinated against mpox if they will be visiting affected areas in Africa. The ECDC has updated its recommendations in response to outbreaks of a new strain of the virus. It said other continents, including Europe, can expect some cases too. ECDC stated that the risk of it spreading everywhere is low, despite the World Health Organization recently declaring the mpox situation a global emergency. The disease, formerly known as monkeypox, can be passed on by close contact with anyone with the infection. Those who have been vaccinated against mpox in the past might only need one top-up dose rather than 2 shots. Booster vaccine doses are typically recommended every 2 to 10 years if a person remains at continued risk for exposure. Mpox has killed at least 450 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo in recent months, linked to a new type. Experts say there is still a lot to learn about the new strain, but it may be spreading more easily, causing more serious disease. Despite having effective vaccines against Mpox, too few doses are currently getting to where they are needed most. Let's take a quick break. We will be back shortly. Welcome. After Parliament confirmed her nomination by the ruling coalition Pheu Thai Party, Paetongtarn Shinawatra has become Thailand's youngest ever Prime Minister. She succeeds Srettha Thavisin, who was removed from his post by a constitutional court ruling on Wednesday. The 37-year-old, known by her nickname Ong Eng, is the youngest child of billionaire tycoon Thaksin Shinawatra, and is the third member of the family to hold the nation's top job after her father and aunt. Srettha's removal was the latest chapter in a long-running battle between the military, pro-royalist establishment and populist parties linked to Thaksin, who shook up the country's strained politics, where he was first elected prime minister in 2001. He spent years in exile after being removed in a military coup in 2006 and returned to Thailand only last year. On the day Pheu Thai formed the government, the ruling coalition chose Paetongtarn as its replacement at a meeting on Thursday night after none of the 10 other parties in the coalition put forward an alternative. Pheu Thai and its partners hold 314 seats in parliament, and Paetongtarn needed the approval of more than half of the current 493 lawmakers to become prime minister. She helped run the hotel arm of the family's business empire before entering politics 3 years ago and has never held elected office. She was a near constant presence on the campaign trail in the 2023 elections, where she was one of Pheu Thai's prime minister candidates, giving birth just 2 weeks before polling day. Indian doctors have called for a nationwide shutdown of hospital services as public fury over the rape and murder of a trainee medic in the eastern city of Kolkata last week grows. The Indian Medical Association IMA and country's largest grouping of medics said the 24-hour shutdown would be implemented on Saturday, affecting most hospital departments except for essential services. The shutdown comes after thousands of people took to the streets in several cities to express their outrage at the rape and murder of a 31-year-old trainee doctor, whose brutalized body was found on August 9th at Kolkata state-run RG Kar Medical College and Hospital. Multiple medical unions in both government and private systems have backed the strike. Doctors in government hospitals across several states had halted elective services indefinitely in protest. Though police have detained a man who worked at the hospital helping people navigate business queues, state government officers have been accused of mishandling the case. According to the National Crime Records Bureau (NCRB), there were more than 31,000 reported rapes in 2022, the latest year for which data is available. Recall that the gang rape and murder in 2012 of a young woman on a bus in Delhi, northern India, led to nationwide protests and outrage over the country's failure to tackle sexual violence against women. NCRB's data showed that at the time of the 2012 attack, police were recording up to 25,000 rape cases a year across India. Since 2012, the government has brought in sweeping changes to the criminal justice system, including tougher sentences and death penalties for repeat offenders. Japan has ordered thousands of people to evacuate and cancel dozens of flights as a strong typhoon sweeps close to the east of the country. The Japan Meteorological Agency (JMA) on Friday estimated that Typhoon Ampil was situated 170 kilometers south of Chushi City in Chiba Prefecture, located near Tokyo in the eastern region of Kanto. Currently barreling over the Pacific Ocean, Ampil is expected to get close to the greater Tokyo region with fierce winds liable to cause injuries from flying debris or even overturned trucks in motion. The typhoon has wind speed of 45 meters per second with maximum gusts of 60 meters per second. Its approach has prompted a number of municipalities in Kanto and elsewhere to urge residents to evacuate. Iwaki City in Fukushima Prefecture, north of Tokyo, issued an evacuation order for both 323,000 residents. About 18,500 residents were ordered to evacuate from Mobara City in Chiba, east of Tokyo. More than 2,500 households in the Kanto region were still experiencing blackouts in the afternoon. Meanwhile, dozens of departing and arriving flights were cancelled at Tokyo's two airports, Haneda and Narita, as well as at Kansai, Osaka and Chubu Airport. Bullet trains serving northeastern Japan and some local Tokyo trains were suspended temporarily or switched to a slower schedule. Officials warned people to stay away from rivers and beaches and to be wary of winds strong enough to send objects flying. Let's take another break. We will be back shortly with more stories. Do stay with us. Welcome. A United Nations report shows that Afghanistan's Taliban government has deliberately deprived at least 1.4 million girls of their rights to education during its 3 years in power. They said about 300,000 more girls are missing out on school since UNESCO last carried out a count in April 2023, warning that the future of an entire generation is now in jeopardy. Taking into account the number of girls not going to school before the Taliban came to power in August 2021, the UN's Educational and Cultural Agency said 80% of Afghan school-aged girls, a total of 2.5 million, are now being denied their right to education. According to analysts, Afghanistan is the only country in the world to stop girls and women attending secondary schools and universities. Since the Taliban came to power, it has barred education for girls above 6th grade, arguing that it does not comply with its interpretation of Islam. Although no other Muslim country prohibits girls from being educated, UNESCO Director General Audrey Azoulay urged the international community to remain mobilized to obtain the unconditional reopening of schools and universities to Afghan girls and women. The Taliban administration, which is not recognized by any other country, has imposed restrictions on women that the UN has described as gender apartheid. UNESCO said the number of primary pupils has also fallen, and Afghanistan had 5.7 million girls and boys in primary school in 2022 compared with 6.8 million in 2019. It blamed the drop on the authorities' decision to ban female teachers from teaching boys, adding that parents also lacked incentives to send children to school. The UN agency stated that enrollment in higher education is equally concerning. The number of university students had decreased by 53% since 2021. Qatar's top intelligence official has been awarded a medal for the Central Intelligence Agency (CIA) for his role in strengthening intelligence cooperation with the United States. State Security Agency Chief Abdullahi bin Al-Khalif Friday received the George Tenet Medal from CIA Director Bill Burns. Burns gave him the award in appreciation of his role in maintaining national and regional security between the two allies in the Gulf region. He was also honored for his exceptional support given to the U.S. agency in preserving the interest and security of the U.S. and Qatar. The Qatari agency is closely cooperating with the U.S. in counterterrorism to prevent and foil threats and attacks in the Middle East. Both the CIA and Qatar's State Security Agency are yet to issue a statement on Al-Khalifi's award. Qatar and the U.S. have a decades-old relationship, and Qatar hosts the U.S. Air Force Base at Al-Udeid. Tenet has served as CIA chief for almost 8 years, from 1996 to 2004, under the administrations of both President Bill Clinton and President George Bush, and helped to spearhead the country's military invasion into both Afghanistan and Iraq. 10,000 people living near a military base in western Germany have been told to stop using tap water as authorities investigated a case of possible sabotage at a water supply site. The warning came after the discovery of a fence cut at the water storage site in mechanic area near Bonn. The all clear was eventually given on Friday, although residents were urged to boil their water before drinking it. A day earlier, an Air Force base near Cologne-Bonn Airport was sealed off for several hours, with abnormal water values detected in the supply. Separately, NATO reported an attempt to trespass on its base at Gelsenkirchen, close to the Dutch border. The extent of sabotage in any of the three incidents remains unclear, although Germany's armed forces, the Bundeswehr, have been on heightened alert because of Russia's war in Ukraine. NATO's AWACS reconnaissance planes are stationed at Gelenkirch and the College War base close to the main regional airport is home to the top echelons of the German Air Force, as well as planes used by government ministers for foreign travel. More than 5,000 soldiers and civilians are said to work at the College War base, and although the outer fence was not tampered with, a hole was found in the fence close to the barracks water supply site. No one has yet been detained for any of the three alleged sabotage incidents. Military officials are taking the latest incident very seriously. Interior Minister Nancy Faeser said even before the spate of scars, Germany was facing an increased danger of Russian sabotage. That's all we have for you on Foreign Desk. But before we go, let's take a recap of the top stories. Ukraine's president has said his forces have taken full control of strategic Russian town. European Center for Disease Prevention and Control has advised travelers to get vaccinated against Mpox. We intimated you. Indian doctors have called for nationwide shutdown of hospital services. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Winifred. You so do have a great day.